Hi there, my name is Hemraj, and this is my guest Parish. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Hemorrhag's father. I'm 53 years old. I'm self employed, active in jujitsu, yoga, and those are my two main activities.
So, the purpose of this conversation is to get a better understanding of your physical literacy, learn about your physical activity habits, and learn about your thoughts and feelings on physical activity, okay? In your day to day life, can you list and describe a few reasons you participate in physical activity? And if not active, what would a few reasons to be more active be?
Mainly, my activity is with work. I am self employed and we work heavily with machinery. So, we do a lot of lifting, a lot of cleaning machinery, we create a lot of mobility to kind of stretch, get under, access different parts of the machine. And that's the main reason. I do a lot of yoga in order to allow me to do that, and I also do a lot of strength conditioning to be able to lift and move some of the things at work.
Do you have any other reasons?
I do. Previously, when my son was young, I was having him involved, and I myself was also involved. And in doing so, we both learned jujitsu, and I've continued to do it, mainly because I've developed really good friendships, and I do really enjoy it.
What would you say stops you from being physically active and reaching the level of physical activity you'd like to reach? So let's state and describe a few reasons.
Well, being self employed, I'm working probably about 12 to 15 hours a day, and then in the evenings, I got other things to handle at the house. But having said all that, the main reason that I'm not as physically active as I'd like to be is basically will. Like, my will is not strong enough, my discipline is not strong enough, and I know that I have time in the day, but I have to develop the habit a lot better in order to stay physically active as I'd like to be.
Okay. What would you say shapes your habits and behaviors towards being physically active?
For me, because my will and my determination is not as strong on an individual basis, I find it hard to individually do it. I find that friends, like when we do activities together, it strongly motivates me to be present, be engaged, and be active. Particularly, one example being jujitsu. Um, I'm I'm close to a lot of people, and it's easier for me to attend that than to do any other real solo exercise work.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, what are your thoughts on cooperative games and competitive games, and what do you feel are the positives and negatives of each? And if you participate in cooperative or competitive games, can you give me a few examples?
I'm strongly biased against competitive games. Um, Two reasons I can cite is personally, when I was engaged in very competitive games, it brought out a very negative side to me. The other reason is if you look at any competition, you see amazing athletes, just differentiated by just fractions of a second, and one wins and one fails. And I not at this point, I don't think that's really a fair measure. And so competitive is not good. I love cooperative, mainly because, again, personal experience with jujitsu that we do when we practice. We're very cooperative in our roles, never competitive, and I like that. I don't attend competitions in jujitsu. It just lends itself to a lot of injury, and I can't really do that. Being self-employed, I'm very cautious of being healthy to come
Okay,
back and work another day.
thank you. Thank you for your time. I think Parish Ghosh's most influential barrier is his will. I do think time plays a part in this, but for the most part, it's his will. If you want to work out and you want to be physically active, you'll find a way to be physically active. And this is actually a quote he said to me off camera. So I do think it is his will. Yes, obviously time plays a part. That when you work 15, 16 hours days, it does take a toll on you, but his will is the most influential barrier. One influence that will shape Harish Gosai's physical activity intervention is his need and want to be active. As he has stressed throughout the interview that one of his biggest things is trying to maintain a healthy body by doing yoga, doing jiu-jitsu. This will mean that a lot of the activities in his physical activity intervention will be meant to be very practical and not things that are high levels of stress on the body. I would not use competitive games, but I would use cooperative games. As he stressed, he does not like competitive games and what they bring out, but he does like cooperative games because it gives them a chance to learn. When we look at physical literacy and we look at the psychological aspect, it deals with confidence and motivation, and that seems to play a big part in why he does physical activity and why he doesn't do physical activity, because sometimes he needs motivation to be physically active.